Good morning, everybody. 7:34 a.m., January 3rd, 2018. All right, really quick, this is just a snapshot from my previous video from December 30th when we were talking about this system that looked to be forming just to the east of the Bahamas and then making its way up the northeast, up to the northeast, and then meeting with that super cold air we've been dealing with from Canada. It's officially a named storm now, Winter Storm Grayson. They have given it. This is going to be a bombogenesis nor'easter. For those of you that don't know what that is, I still don't even really know what it is. I know what a nor'easter is, but this bombogenesis stuff is pretty new to me. But basically, it just has to do with the spreading of this storm. Now, let's get some newer images. Now, we're at Tropical Tidbits right here. Now, this is starting, at least for the Northeast, about a day earlier than we anticipated. Now, if you remember, this was actually a little bit more to the southeast. It was starting right around here to the west of the Bahamas. But now, as we set this up to the 3rd, which is today, this is current time right now. So we can see this tropical system is actually starting out in the ocean to the east of Florida and Georgia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, and then it just explodes. This thing gets so big so quick. So we're talking in just less than a day, we go from this to this, guys. So this thing triples, even maybe quadruples in size within a 24-hour period. I don't know, for those of you that live in Florida right now, there's freezing rain going on. All the areas between Tallahassee and Jacksonville have ice and snow warnings as of right now. Now, the ice is a very dangerous thing, especially when it comes to power lines, and Florida's not used to ice, so there could be a lot of weakening in power. There could be a lot of power outages, and this won't be due to snow, guys. This will be more due to the ice. Like, if you add just, I believe it's a ½ inch of ice to the power lines, like just one power line. You look at it at 2 telephone poles, and you look at just one of those wires that connects between 2. If you add just a ½ inch of ice to that telephone pole, that's an extra close to 500 pounds of weight. So there's going to be a lot of areas in Florida that just because they're not getting snow, just these record cold temperatures that are happening in some areas near Tallahassee and Jacksonville. I know Lake City, Florida is already getting freezing rain right now. They are going to get snow in Charleston, South Carolina, guys. The last time that they had snow, like legit snow, was in 1989, I believe, was Christmas. Right around Christmas time, the day before Christmas or Christmas Day, in Charleston, they got about 6 inches of snow. They're saying that this storm here could beat that, and they're actually expecting it to. So I don't mean to rush this morning. Obviously, I haven't been posting as much because of my job. That is where I'm heading as we speak. But we need to talk about this, guys, because this thing is getting bigger and bigger. And just as we thought, we talked about this on the 30th. Like I showed you with my post, you can see on the 30th they had this storm more out into the east, into the Atlantic Ocean, but now we can clearly see this thing is going to ride the East Coast, and it's not about where this center area is like it is with hurricanes. Now, what we need to look at is the expansion of the moisture field here, and that's what's going to bring all this snow up the entire East Coast, guys. No state is untouched by this snow. We're talking all the way from the Panhandle of Florida all the way up the east coast of the U.S. and especially areas of Boston and Vermont and Maine and all those areas we always talk about, which haven't so much gotten their winter warnings yet. Some of them may have. I haven't actually had time to check those yet. But just look at the expansion of this thing, and then by the end of the 4th, so we're talking in a 30-hour period, we go from this thing all the way to about that. Now that is incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before in my life. So the snow accumulations with this is going to be different than the lake effect snow we've been talking about, guys. Now remember, the lake effect snow happens when we have moisture that forms. It could form in any of these areas. It depends on the jet stream and the wind movements. But when that moisture passes over the Great Lakes and then dumps all the snow in certain areas of New York, like Erie and Watertown and Buffalo, stuff like that, this is a totally different story. This is a nor'easter. This is where a tropical system comes up the East Coast and then meets cold air. And we just so happen to have such a low dip in the jet stream right now that we have cold air all the way from the panhandle of Florida all the way up to our northeast states. So this is one giant storm, guys. This is going to bring snow. Like I said, snow and ice to every single state on the East Coast. No state has been untouched. We already have freezing rain in Florida. So especially this morning, guys, areas between Tallahassee and Jacksonville, traveling is going to be not fun at all. There's already freezing rain. And like I said, those power outages are going to be the biggest deal, especially for areas of Florida. There's not going to be many areas that get snow. I know they have snow reported in areas of the Panhandle. But, guys, anywhere up from Charleston north is going to get significant snow amounts, and that is closer to the coasts. Now, because this storm is out in the ocean, and just to show you, we're at the CMC right now. I'll switch to the GFS. The GFS has this storm in the same exact spot. So both of these models have moved the storm closer to the East Coast. And this one has it starting a little bit more in that catcher's mitt area between Florida and Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, areas like that. So you can see it starts right there, and then within a 24-hour period, it is just exploding, this thing. And you need to follow these lines here. This is what the jet stream lines are, and that's why all this cold air is here. So this entire area that we're going through with this deep freeze that I actually pulled up a picture. This is from outside my house. A water main broke right up the road from my house. This is a road gutter, so if you were to stand inside this gutter, guys, the road actually comes up probably about mid-thigh. I'm about 6 foot, so if I were standing in this gutter, the top of this road comes up just about to my mid-thigh, well over my knee. That's how deep this water is right now. This starts all the way up on a street next to a school and goes down about 4 or 5 blocks and is just solid frozen ice, this entire thing. A water main broke, and this all runs, we're facing downhill on this picture. So just to give you an idea of how cold it is, this is just, it's freezing all the way down. We're talking 1.5 feet of ice right here in this area. So this is the Northeast. This is what you're going to expect. This is how cold it's been. But now that we have a situation with moisture being brought up from near the Bahamas and Florida, that's what's going to cause this nor'easter, and that's what's already causing snow and these advisories in areas of Charleston, Georgia. You're getting winter storm advisories, and then as we move out throughout the day, we're going to get advisories all the way up Delaware, Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut. No state will be untouched by this storm. That is a guarantee. I would prepare for it. Prepare to get your shovels ready, snow blowers, whatever you guys need, because this thing is legit. This is no longer going to be a storm that stays out into the ocean. We can clearly see, if you turn on the Weather Channel right now, all they're talking about is accumulation. Savannah, Charleston, 7 to 9 inches, possibly 10 inches in some of those areas. This is Winter Storm Grayson, by the way. So they're stacking their crews all over the East Coast like they always do with the storms. They're treating this thing like a hurricane, guys. Like they're basically comparing this to a hurricane, not wind speed. So don't let me misword that by any means. We're not going to have any 70, 80 mile per hour winds blowing houses down, but we're talking about a significant storm that this is moving quickly too. So look at this. By the 6th, we could have already been dealing with the worst of it. You can still see some of these lines. Now, this is all moisture, guys, so remember, depending on the temperature, this could still be snow and ice. So just look at the expansion of this storm. This is something, it's very rare to see something like this, especially with all these cold temperatures to mix in with it. Now, I brought up this chart that we usually use for the hurricanes, and the reason I brought this up is because I want to show you the last couple frames here. You can actually see this thing starting to develop off the east coast of Florida. You can see these little yellows that are beginning to pop up right there. That's current time. So now as every couple hours passes, you're going to see this get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's going to move right up the coast. And that's what's going to begin dropping snow all over the coast. Even, I'm telling you guys, there are going to be areas of Florida that get snow today. There's been over 600 records broken as far as low temperatures in just the past few days alone. So, so much for a mild winter. I read in the what is it, the Farmer's Almanac, that it was supposed to be a mild winter, and we've already gone, I believe, 11 or 12 consecutive days of it being under 30 degrees. The record in New York is 16. That is going to be broken, at least in my opinion, of the amount of days consecutive under 30 degrees. I believe it's 0 right now where I am. Literally, the number 0, and that's not wind chill. That's not any of that stuff. So, once again, guys, just to get this video finished up and for a lot of you to get prepared for this, we don't have much time. This thing literally is forming as we speak. Right now, this is what we're dealing with. And then we're talking 24, 48. So just about 50 hours between now and the end of this storm is just going to cause complete mayhem on the east coast of the entire United States. This is not just a northeast situation. Again, if you live in Florida, you know it is cold outside. I think the highest temperature in Florida right now is around 67 degrees, and that's near Miami. So you guys can do the math on that one and just look at these. These are current temperatures right now. We got 43 degrees to the north of Lake Okeechobee. Panhandle is around an average of 31. And then you just move on up. So any moisture that touches these areas, guys, is immediately frozen. This is snow, this is ice, and that's why they have so much concern for Florida, because these power lines, just the amount of weight that a little bit of ice adds to them will just break them down. They'll pull them right off telephone poles. That's all they've been doing around my town, is fixing the wires that connect these poles, because they've just been dropping to the ground. That's how much ice has been catching up to them. And now that we have that moisture system that's starting right around here again, that's what we're going to be dealing with. Now this site here, weather.gov, is a pretty cool site because you can actually click on individual counties. Now this is current. This changes every couple hours also. But just to give you an idea, you can see all these purples here. These are deep freeze warnings, and a lot of these are storm warnings. But just clicking any of these counties here, it brings up a radar. So it gives you your current, weather, whatever's going on, and then it gives you an idea of what to expect. And now these areas in the purple here, hard freeze warnings. So we're talking, these are areas that are cold enough that any moisture that touches here is going to be snow or freezing rain at least. And you can see, as we showed on these models, that's exactly where this thing is beginning to form. And that's why this morning, for at least Florida, it does not feel like you're in Florida at all. You probably feel like you're back in the Northeast, especially those of you that have moved from the Northeast to Florida. So anyway, guys, I hate to cut this short, but this is a significant storm. This is Winter Storm Grayson. This is a bombogenesis nor'easter. This is going to be very significant. This could bring well over a foot of snow to many areas of the Northeast by the time it gets up here. The reason that we're not going to get those accumulations in Florida is because it's still moving in a western movement, or an eastern movement into the ocean, so it's kind of pushing away from Florida, but it's going to be there just long enough to where it's causing already ice on the roads, ice on the power lines, and then once we get to about this point in time, that's when Charleston might see its new record snowfall. Again, the record snow for Charleston was 6 inches in 1989 for Christmas. That may get surpassed in the next 24 hours. So guys, prepare for this. Keep your weather channel on, especially your local weather. And then once we get to this point of the storm, it's a nor'easter city. We're talking areas that might get over a foot of snow. Just have your shovels ready. Have everything ready that you need, that maybe you might not be able to leave the house for a day or two. Again, this is not a hurricane. Your house is not going to get blown down. The worst that could happen, I guess, would be ice and snow accumulations on your roofs and the added weight, like I said, with the power lines. I'm sorry, that's all the time I have to give you guys this morning. I will be following this closely. This thing is unbelievable. I'm going to switch to the CMC one more time. And the CMC and the GFS are almost in perfect agreement right now that this is exactly what this thing's going to do, except for exactly where it's forming. But regardless, Florida, you're already getting your effects. You're already feeling the effects from this thing, and then boom, this thing just explodes, and it's spinning in a counterclockwise motion. So any of the areas that it's passing, it's just blowing in from the ocean. So there's areas of the ocean where they have the Weather Channel people in Boston Harbor that's already freezing, and that's salt water. So it takes a lot for salt water to freeze. And then just check that out. Right there, I think, in my opinion, on Thursday, late Thursday, January 4th, which is tomorrow, is going to be the worst of it for all of the Northeast states. I saw it come in about halfway into the state of Pennsylvania, 3 to 4 inches. So As time goes on, we'll have more information with this storm, guys. I will have an update this afternoon, but be prepared. This is one of the bigger ones we have seen at least this year, probably one of the bigger ones we'll get this year. And, you know, who knows? It's going to be a busy winter, it seems to me. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here. Again, this is that weather.gov site if you want to check your individual counties. This is any county in the United States. Anything you see a color on, you can just drag down and it matches down here, and then you can see what's going on for your area. All right, guys, I got to get to work. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you all for listening to me, and thank you all for sticking around. Good luck out there. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.